Alright, I'm doing some tests. I'm also doing some network tests right now. This is discouraging. Just having some technical issues a while ago. Alright, let's go ahead and do this.
Golf Foxtrot Sierra Alpha Charlie, cleared line up and take off, runway 20, wind calm.
Take off and head south, climbing to altitude 2,000 feet.
Okay, take off, climb to 2,000 feet. Okay, lights, camera, action. Airspeed's alive. Instruments in the green. $55 knots, rotate. Right. Climb to 2,500 feet.
Now we're safely climbing away, we don't need our flaps anymore. Please retract the flaps and we'll climb more efficiently.
Let's climb along the coast right now since we're not climbing too fast, so
The first thing we're going to try is levelling off at an altitude. As discussed in the manual, there is a rule of thumb for choosing when to begin reducing your vertical speed to achieve a smooth and reliable level off. Use 10% of your current vertical speed to work out when to begin the level off. The 152 climbs at about 800 feet per minute, so start levelling off with 80 feet to go. That's at 1,920 feet here. level off here and maintain an altitude of 2,000 feet. All of the turns you make flying IFR are to be made in the same way. This is a constant rate of turn of 3 degrees per second, called a rate 1 turn. To achieve this, use another rule of thumb. Take 10% of your airspeed and add 7. This figure is the target bank angle for a rate 1 turn. For example, if you're flying at 100 knots, 10% of 100 is 10, add 7 gives 17 degrees bank angle. Turning at rate 1, you'll perform a 180 after 1 minute and a 360 after 2 minutes. Try to make all your turns throughout your IFR flying at a rate 1 turn. Now turn left to a heading of 090 degrees. Maintain 2,000 feet on heading 090 for a short while. Accelerate to a cruising speed of around 110 knots. Remember to maintain an altitude of 2,000 feet.
Okay, I'm maintaining it. A few times I hit over 110 knots, but it's not registering. I don't know if it's a glitch in this. In the previous stream before it crashed, I was able to maintain that or to achieve that, but for some reason it did not. It's not doing it now. So I might have to stop this and just move on to the next lesson. This is just basic IFR to maintain using the instruments. So we're trying to maintain these altitudes, the altitude and the heading at a certain speed, but this Cessna 172 cannot maintain 100 knots, 110 knots very well at 110 110 knots. So yeah, it's barely. I leaned the mixture already, so I know the mixture is pretty lean. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty steady right now. Throttle is, it's full right now. I don't know why. So I'm maintaining right now. I'm not sure what's going on, but it's climbing, so we can at least try to force it down to 110 again while it's descending. And yep, see, at least the accelerate button should come on. Well, I mean, it's go away, I'm sorry, not come on. At least it should go away. So I'm gonna exit this one right now and just move on to the next lesson. I'm gonna end the flight and I'm gonna move on to the next lesson. This is a little bit frustrating. We're gonna go to the commander at another time, but for right now we're doing the IFR lessons. So this is the partial panel. So we're gonna focus on that next lesson, IFR 02, and the FS Academy. IFR add-on for Microsoft Flight Simulator. This package was for the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I moved it over to the 2024 by moving the community folder, and it is working. This is for with a Cessna 152, and overview is know what to do when things go wrong. With a vacuum failure, you lose your primary heading and attitude instrument. Learn how to perform compass turns and work around your issues so that you're ready to fly anything or anything. So I guess right now we're gonna have a failure to lose our primary heading. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do this.
We're back at 𝘓𝘪𝘯𝘨 Airport to explore how to fly an instrument with system failures, known as a partial panel condition. The attitude indicator and directional gyro are both powered by the vacuum system. A failure of the vacuum system would cause the gyroscopes to topple and give misleading readings. The failure can be quite subtle, so it's important to recognise the symptoms and how to deal with it. Complete your checks and taxi to the holding point.
Golf Foxtrot Sierra Alpha Charlie cleared for line-up and takeoff, runway 20, the wind is calm.
Take off and climb to altitude 2,000 feet.
All right, now we're off. We're climbing to 2,000 feet right now. We need to build up some more airspeed. Let's look outside and get some. Lift up our flaps. Let's trim a little bit, so trim for the climb. We're above almost 500 feet, so we're gonna make a little bit of turn down we're almost at 500.
To cope with the failure of the directional gyro, we can use the aircraft compass as a backup, but it does have some limitations that you should be aware of. Turning to a heading near east or west is simple and requires no corrections. However, turning to a northerly or southerly heading introduces compass indication errors that need to be accounted for. When turning to a heading near south, you will need to overshoot your target heading by about 30 degrees. This means that whilst turning to your desired heading, you will need to watch the compass and keep the turn going beyond the heading you wish to roll out on. Upon levelling the wings, the compass will correct itself and display your actual heading.
Only
Turning
thing.
to a heading near north, you will need to undershoot. So stop your turn once reaching about 30 degrees before your target heading.
Okay.
Overshoot south, undershoot north, remembered as 𝘓𝘓𝘪𝘯𝘢.
All right. So we're at 1,500 feet and climbing right now to 2,000.
Level off and maintain an altitude of 2,000 feet. The directional gyro is still functioning for now for your reference. Notice when turning that the indications of the DG and the compass appear to turn in opposite directions. The same concept is true, that turning left decreases the heading numbers, turning right increases the numbers. We'll start by making a turn to west, which will not need any corrections. Simply roll out when the compass indicates west. Turn now to the right to heading 270. Roll out on heading 270 and see that the compass does not require any corrections. Now we'll make a left-hand turn to south, heading 180. So overshoot south by around 30 degrees. So keep your turn going until the compass indicates around 150 degrees. There's passing south on the compass. Keep the turn going until the compass indicates 150. The directional gyro is now deactivated, so can no longer be used. Your heading reference from now on is only on the compass. Okay, now make a left turn to heading 090 using the compass. Again, as it's east, it will require no compass corrections. Good, simply roll out on heading 090 on the compass. Next we'll make a compass turn to north. Remember to overshoot south and undershoot north, so undershoot the heading on the compass by about 30 degrees, so when you see 030 indicated, start your rollout. Here comes 030, so begin rolling out. Now make a left-hand turn all the way to south, heading 180. Overshoot south, so keep turning until you see 150 on the compass. Good, and there's an indicated 150, so start rolling out. See the red flag on the attitude indicator? This indicates a vacuum failure, so the attitude indicator can no longer be relied on. Use the turn coordinator to check for wings level, and use the VSI for level flight. With the attitude indicator failed, please keep a heading of south on the compass. With the attitude indicator failed, we're now mostly reliant on the VSI and altimeter for our vertical navigation. Remember the 10% vertical speed rule of thumb to help you level off smoothly. Again, that's if you're climbing at an example of 500 feet per minute, begin your level off with 50 feet to go. Try a climb now to an altitude of 3,000 feet. Please keep a heading of south on the compass. level off and maintain 3,000 feet. Without the attitude indicator to help you, you know you're in level flight if you maintain the VSI at 0. That concludes this lesson.
Oh, so yep. So we did that. So now we're going to move on and we're going to do the VOR. If we go back here just a little bit, we have the, I think, yep, this was the IFR 03, which is the VOR and analog. And yeah, all the first 3 lessons are in a Cessna 152. So once I get to lesson 4, which is IFR 4, I'll be able to start using glass cockpit in a much nicer airplane. So right now, let's do the IFR 3, the VOR. And the overview of this is to get to grips with the fundamental of IFR flight by discovering how to operate and understand the ADF, OBS, VORs, and NDB with a conventional set of instruments. There's actually something else that comes along with this tutorial package. I just want to show you that. Let's show you what that is. It is a PDF document, and in PDF document, there are two of them, but for this one, that's the wrong. Sorry. All right, oh, there it is. Bear with me for a minute. IFR. I don't have the F here. I definitely have to look into that to make sure I did get it. Strange. Oh, I know where that one is. Okay, it's at a different location again. I had to make sure I got it. So Perfect. So there's an IFR manual that comes along with this. This is the IFR manual. Sorry. And it will give you some instructions and get you up to speed. So it will give you the instrument scan, what to look for, scanning the instruments, a little brief summary of Wi-Fi, IFR, human factors, rules of thumb. But yep, these are some of the discussion that you'll be able to read that on your own and get the grasp of it. I'm just going to demonstrate this next lesson right now. So let's do this.
Now we'll begin to get to grips with tracking to and from navigation aids. There are two primary types of radio beacon, VORs and NDBs. They work in slightly different ways, but the concepts are generally the same. You'll get a feeling for using nav aids in this lesson, first of all in a conventional aircraft with dials and needles, before moving to a 𝘓𝘓𝘯𝘓 equipped aeroplane. The Morse code you can hear is the 𝘓𝘓 VOR. It's transmitting Sierra Foxtrot Delta in Morse code so that we can hear we are tuned to the correct beacon. This is called identifying, and we can consider 𝘓𝘓 to be identified.
Okay.
You can adjust the ident volume using the small knob under the nav1 frequency on your radio stack. When your checks are complete, taxi to hold for runway 02.
Okay. Perfect.
Now we'll begin to get to grips with tracking to and from navigation aids. There are two primary types of radio beacon, VORs and NDBs. They work in slightly different ways, but the concepts are generally the same. You'll get a feeling for using nav aids in this lesson, first of all in a conventional aircraft with dials and needles, before moving to a 𝘓𝘓𝘯𝘓 equipped aeroplane. The Morse code you can hear is the 𝘓𝘓 VOR. It's transmitting Sierra Foxtrot Delta in Morse code so that we can hear we are tuned to the correct beacon. This is called identifying, and
Perfect.
we can consider 𝘓𝘓 to be identified. You can adjust the ident volume using the small knob under the nav1 frequency on your radio stack. When your checks are complete, taxi to hold for runway 02.
Okay. Let's see. Let's turn this down. Okay. All right. So let's do a few checks. Aileron, elevator, rudder, flaps. Let's do the flaps all the way. Degrees, 20 degrees coming up, and 30 degrees. All right, let's go back up to 10 degrees for takeoff. And let's taxi and hold short. Release the brakes. Brake check. Okay. Right.
Golf Foxtrot Sierra Alpha Charlie, clear line up and take off runway 02. Wind is calm, right turnout is approved.
Okay, take off and climb to altitude 2,000 feet.
Take off runway 2. Climb to 2,000 feet. Clear for takeoff. Okay. Here's lights, camera, action. Airspeed's alive, instruments in the green. 55, rotate. And climb to 2000. Lift up, taking the flaps. And let's trim for the climb. This is beautiful here.
Now start a right turn to heading 090.
Turn to 090.
We'll begin our discussion of nav aids with the NDB. A non-directional beacon is a common nav aid of high accuracy but limited range. It's displayed on the automatic direction finding instrument, the ADF, located at the right side of this cockpit, with a yellow needle at its centre.
Okay.
Below the ADF dial is the ADF radio, which is tuned to the Shoreham NDB. The yellow needle always points directly to the NDB. If you want to fly directly to an NDB, simply turn to point the ADF needle straight upwards. This is called homing. To discover your position relative to the NDB, turn the ADF card so that the card matches your directional gyro instrument, essentially putting your current heading at the top. Whichever bearing the needle points to is the heading you should fly to go to the beacon. The tail of the needle indicates your current direction from the beacon, known as your radial.
Okay. So we're climbing to 2000. We're at 1500 feet, approximately. Let's look outside. Not bad at all.
Now make a right-hand turn to heading 180.
Oh, oops. Okay.
When flying between nav aids, you need to know how the needle works and what it's telling you. When not tracking perfectly towards the beacon, the head of the needle will always be pushed away from your heading.
Okay.
The tail will always be pulled towards your heading, towards the top of the dial. Now that we've turned south, see how the ADF needle is pulling the tail towards the south and the head is pushed away.
Okay. This is what they're referring to right here. So it shows where I'm flying and where I need to go. Okay. So what do you want me to do? This point.
Now make a right-hand turn to heading 240.
So I'm going to head to 240 while I'm maintaining my altitude.
Flying on this heading of 240 will demonstrate how the head of the needle is pushed away from your heading.
Okay. Perfect. And the navigation. Perfect. Alright, so I'm
Make
waiting.
another right turn to centre the yellow ADF needle. This will take you straight to the 𝘓𝘪𝘯𝘨 NDB.
Okay, so I'm going to turn and focus on that NDB needle.
We're going to leave 𝘓𝘪𝘯𝘨 NDB on the 030 radial, meaning a direction of 030 from the beacon.
Okay. Perfect. Alright, so I am now, if you can see, I'm now flying towards the direction here, as you can see. Where is it? Alright, so let's reset this. And I'm maintaining approximately 2,000 altitude. So I'm heading to this airport, it seems, right? Okay. So, as you
Now
can...
we're reaching the NDB, start a rate 1 turn to the right to heading 030. You'll see the ADF needle move quickly as we're close to the beacon, but don't chase the needle, just ensure an accurate turn to heading 030.
I'm on 030. Talking about. I guess you want me to. Okay, I guess go around to a 360 to a 030, I guess. I don't know. So let's follow it.
Once accurately established on heading 030, look at the ADF needle. The tail of the needle will be pulling towards your heading. If the tail is over to the left of centre, fly to the right of 030 to pull it over. If the tail is to the right, fly to the left of 030 to pull it that way. There are two main ways to accurately place yourself on the radial you want to fly. Either adjust the ADF heading card to set your current heading and pull the tail towards the radial you want, or you can use your imagination to superimpose the ADF needle on your heading indicator. Whichever way works for you is fine. You'll see this is taken care of for you with the glass cockpit aircraft. Intercept and follow the 030 radial for a short while.
See what they're asking.
Make sure to only make small heading corrections to maintain the radial 030.
I don't know if that's what it wants.
Remember to maintain 2,000 feet throughout this lesson.
Okay, a little bit off. Okay, so now let's see if I can I don't think I did it correctly earlier. I think I missed a step, to be honest. Oh, I get it, I get it. Alright, so first I have to go 030 and then turn the... Okay, I just... I got what they wanted me to do. Fine. Oh, then fly to that radio.
Now let's look at VOR tracking. A very high frequency omnidirectional range, VOR is another type of radio beacon, but has greater range and accuracy than an NDB. It also allows the selecting of a desired radial on your instruments to give a deviation indication, which makes tracking easier.
Okay.
In a conventional aircraft, we use the OBS instrument. The omni-bearing selector has a knob to select the radial you wish to follow. To find a direct course to the VOR, turn the OBS knob until you see a 2 indication and the needle is centered. The course you set to achieve this is the direction you would need to fly at that moment to track directly to the VOR. Try this now. Center the vertical OBS needle with a 2 indication. It should be around 130. Once you've centered the OBS with a course to fly, turn right onto that course to track directly to Seaford VOR.
Seaford here. Oh. I see. All right, so let's go on to that. And here we are.
As during your turn you'll have travelled over the ground a small distance, once you're established on your target heading, recenter the OBS.
Okay, perfect. Enter. Oh wait, sorry, recenter it manually or? Oh yeah. Yeah. Almost there. Oh, should be flying towards it. And then right about now, center. Yes. Perfect. Almost centered.
To demonstrate using the CDI, make a right turn to heading 180.
180.
Roll out on heading 180 and watch the CDI bar.
CDI bar. Okay, yeah, I'm flying away from it. Yes.
Now you can see that flying to the right of your course makes the needle move left, indicating that you should fly to the left to regain your course.
Okay.
Now recenter the OBS like before with a 2 indication and turn to the course directly to the VOR.
Okay, with the 2 indication. Sorry, it said with a 2 indication. Sorry. Hold on, let me fix this first. Okay. Okay.
Now that you've seen how to find a direct course to a VOR by centering the OBS, let's look at how to select and intercept a particular radial.
Okay.
Let's say we want to approach Seaford VOR from the 310 radial. Remember that a radial is always a direction from a beacon, but this time we want to fly towards. Remember to maintain 2,000 feet throughout this lesson. Remember that a radial is always a direction from a beacon, but this time we want to fly towards it, so we use what's called the reciprocal. This is the opposite direction, 180 degrees different to the radial. To fly to the VOR down the 310 radial, we'd select a reciprocal course of 130. Set the OBS now to course 130 with a 2 indication.
Wait, 130 with a 2 indication. Sorry. Okay.
You'll see that the CDI goes off to the left, meaning we need to fly to the left to capture the 130 course.
Okay.
Make a left turn to heading 070 to begin our interception.
Okay.
Flying on our intercept heading, you should start to see the CDI bar returning to centre.
Not bad at all. So again, I'm using the FS Academy IFR add-on. I got the 2020 from Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 version, and I moved it from the community folder, or just dropped it into the community folder for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. And the older 2020 version works with the 2024. So that's what I did to demonstrate this FS Academy add-on. So that's what I'm doing. All right. All right, so getting closer now to the center, so I'm gonna turn a little bit more, gonna head east, and as it's getting closer, except the radial, and right about now.
As the CTI becomes almost back to centre, turn to heading 130 to maintain our course.
Okay. That's what I'm doing. Okay. There it is. So I am on course.
We've selected and flown a radial to a VOR. Once we reach Seaford, we're going to try leaving on another radial. As you get closer to the VOR, I'll ask you to set your outbound radial, which will be 180.
So 180.
As we'll be flying from the VOR on the 180 radial, 180 is what we would set in the OBS.
Okay.
But for now, keep tracking to Seaford.
Let's look outside. It's nice outside. Seafood. Uh-oh, I'm a bit lower. Thank you very much for the likes. I appreciate it so much. All right, let's see. We're almost there.
So now we're very close to the Seaford VOR. Maintain your present heading, but set the OBS to radial 180, as this is the radial we want to leave from the VOR.
180. Okay.
Now that we've very nearly reached Seaford VOR, turn right now onto a heading of 180, which will get us to leave on the 180 radial.
Interesting. Makes a lot of sense, pretty sure. So we're on this radial here. Let's descend a little bit. So yeah, we're 180. So it should switch now to, should start centering as we're leaving.
remember to maintain 2,000 feet throughout this lesson.
Okay. Very good. All right, so we are...
Well done. We've covered a lot in this lesson.
Thank
We've
you.
looked at pushing and pulling the needle, how NDBs operate, and how we track to an NDB station. We've tracked to a VOR, selected and intercepted VOR radials, and left on a different radial.
All right, thank you very much. All right, good. Oh, apparently I did well. So thank you. Thank you again, guys, for the like. If you haven't given me a like, please also subscribe, share, like, notification bell. Let's look at what else. Our next lesson. Again, if you missed, the objective of this is to learning to fly with IFR using the FS Academy add-on in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I cover the first 3 ones. The next one is the IFR 04, and this is using the VOR NDB, but using a glass cockpit. There's some more ones along here, like holding, VOR approach, NDB approach, and ILS approach. So we're going to cover all those: departure, en route navigation, circling, IFR, skill test. That's yes after you finish. So it's actually a pretty good tool if you've never heard of it or if you've never considered it. So for me, I'm trying to learn more about navigation, GPS, and because I want to resume my flight training soon. But yep, these are some of the lessons you'll learn. So right now we could take a look at the IFR 04. You can see how glass cockpit technology has brought great advances to IFR flight, and light aircraft learn the difference to become prepared for modern avionics. So that was a good amount of information in this first video. So I'll put this as a marker for where I'll continue from in the next live stream. So thank you so much for your time. Again, if you could please subscribe, like, share, and hit the notification bell, I'd really appreciate it, as we're on a mission to go to 1,000 subscribers. We're way off it, so we're not getting there anytime soon. Or maybe, never doubt it, sooner than expected. So please go ahead and hit the like. I'll continue this later. I'm going to take a break and resume live later, going over the IFR training lessons here from the FS Academy add-on for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Thank you so much. I will stop the stream now, but I'll continue later. Thank you so much.